He stood at the podium, a king surveying his kingdom. Kwame Nkrumah, CEO of Zanzibar Telecom, addressed the shareholders. The boardroom air was thick with success and expensive cologne. Record profits, Kwame declared, his voice smooth and confident. Unprecedented growth. He paused, letting the words sink in. Around the polished mahogany table, faces beamed. This was what they craved, what Kwame always delivered. He spoke of new land acquisitions, expanding networks, a future brighter than the African sun. His tailored suit, the color of rich cocoa, fit like a second skin. He was the image of control, power, a man who had bent the world to his will. But then a flicker, a small disturbance at the edge of his vision. A little girl no older than 6 wandered into the room. Small in a simple faded blue dress, her eyes widened at the imposing figures and opulent surroundings. She clutched a worn, brightly colored toy car. "Mama," she whispered, barely audible. Shareholders stirred, murmuring. Kwame's perfectly crafted presentation was derailed. Annoyance pricked him. Security was usually tighter. Then he saw it. Behind her left ear, peeking from beneath a cascade of tightly braided hair, was a birthmark, a small crescent-shaped mark. Kwame's blood ran cold. His birthmark, the one hidden beneath his own carefully styled hair, a secret shared with no one. Or so he thought. The room seemed to tilt. Confident words died on his lips. All he saw was that mark, a mirror of his own on this tiny, lost child. "Who is this child?" One older shareholder grumbled, his brow furrowed. Kwame couldn't speak. His mind raced, a whirlwind of forgotten memories, a past desperately buried. Adwoa, her laugh, the scent of shea butter on her skin, her gentle finger tracing the birthmark behind his ear. "Security!" someone called a little too loudly. Kwame raised a hand, silencing them. He forced his voice steady, though his heart hammered his ribs. "It's all right. She's lost." His assistant, Aisha Buhari, rushed forward, her face a mask of polite concern, though Kwame saw panic flicker in her eyes. She gently took the little girl's hand. "Come, little one. Let's find your mother." As Aisha led the girl Abena from the boardroom, Kwame's gaze remained fixed on that birthmark. Impossible. A coincidence. It had to be. But a gnawing certainty in his gut told him otherwise. The meeting resumed, but Kwame was absent, his mind miles and years away, in a small room filled with laughter and whispered promises. Adwoa, what had happened to her? He'd ended it ruthlessly, as he did all inconvenient attachments, telling himself it was for the best. The moment shareholders dispersed, faces still glowing from profit reports, Kwame cornered Aisha in the hallway, his usual calm replaced by raw urgency. "That girl," he said, his voice low and tense. "Who is her mother?" Aisha swallowed, visibly flustered. "Her name is Adwa Surwa, sir. Temporary cleaning staff. Today was her first day. She said she couldn't find childcare." Adwa. The name struck him like a physical blow. It couldn't be the same Adwoa. It was a common name. "Find her," Kwame commanded, his voice tight. "Bring her to my office. Now." Aisha nodded, eyes wide, and hurried away. Kwame retreated to his vast office, the sprawling view of Accra suddenly meaningless. He paced, his tailored suit a straitjacket, fingers drumming an agitated rhythm on his polished desk. He remembered Adwoa's fire, her spirit, the passion, then the guilt, the fear of what discovery meant for his ambitions. He'd paid her off, a generous sum, he'd thought, told her to disappear. And she had. Or had she? His rival, Dele Adebayo, sauntered past his open office door, a smug look fixed on his face. Deal, always sniffing for weakness, for any crack in Kwame's armor, possessed an uncanny ability to sense his vulnerability. "Everything all right, Kwame?" Dele asked, his voice dripping false concern. "You looked a bit shaken in there." Kwame forced a tight smile. "Just a minor interruption. Nothing to worry about." Dele's eyes narrowed, lingering on Kwame a moment too long before he moved on, whistling softly. Kwame knew that look. Dele suspected something. And like a hyena, Dele wouldn't stop until he'd unearthed whatever secret Kwame was hiding. The intercom buzzed. Aisha's voice strained. "Sir, I can't find Adwoa Surwa. She's not in the building. Her supervisor said she left abruptly." Kwame's fist clenched. "Left? Why? And the girl?" he snapped. "Abena is with security, sir. They're trying to reach her mother." Kwame felt a cold, suffocating wave of panic. This couldn't be happening. Not now at the pinnacle of his success. He sank into his leather chair, city lights twinkling mockingly outside. The past, it seemed, always caught up no matter how fast or far you ran. He had to know the truth about Adwoa, about this little girl with his birthmark. "Aisha," he said into the intercom, his voice regaining some command, though a tremor of fear lingered. "Cancel my afternoon. And get me everything on Adwoa Sirwa. Everything." What dark secrets was Kwame about to uncover about this woman from his past and the little girl who bore his unmistakable mark? The truth, he suspected, would be far more explosive than any prophet report. Aisha Buhari felt a knot of dread tighten in her stomach. Mr. Nkrumah was rarely this agitated, this unraveled. His command to dig into Adwoa Sirwa's past felt ominous. She'd seen that look in his eyes before, the one signaling brewing trouble, secrets to be unearthed or buried deeper. She started with the Zanzibar Telecom employee database. Adwoa Sirwa, temporary cleaning staff hired last week. Then a discrepancy. Another Adwoa Sirwa, a former employee, resigned. 6 years ago. 6 years. The timing sent a shiver down Aisha's spine. Could it be the same woman? Kwame paced his opulent office like a caged lion, the usually pride-inducing city views now mocking him. Abena's face, that birthmark, Adwoa's name, they swirled in his mind. A chaotic storm of guilt and fear. He'd built an empire, a fortress around himself, but this felt like a crack in its foundation. He remembered Adwoa's infectious, bright laughter, the way she'd looked at him with an openness, a vulnerability he hadn't encountered since. He'd been younger then, more reckless, less calculating. But even then, ambition was his driving force. Adwoa, he'd convinced himself, was an unaffordable complication. Aisha entered his office, her face pale. "Sir, I found something." She hesitated. "There was another Adwoa Sirwa who worked here. She resigned 6 years ago." Kwame's heart hammered. And, sir?" Aisha took a deep breath. "According to public records, she passed away 3 years ago. From a sudden illness," her family reported. "Passed away." The words struck Kwame with unexpected force. Adwoa, the vibrant, spirited woman he remembered, was gone. A wave of sharp, bitter regret washed over him. He'd pushed her away, paid her off, never looked back. Now it was too late for apologies, for anything. But the girl, Abena, if Adwoa was her mother, her last known address? Kwame's voice was hoarse. Aisha handed him a slip of paper, a modest neighborhood on Accra's outskirts, a world away from Kwame's high-rise office and luxurious penthouse. He had to see for himself, couldn't send Aisha, couldn't risk anyone else knowing. This was his burden, his past to confront. He grabbed his car keys, ignoring Aisha's worried look. As Kwame's sleek black Mercedes navigated the bustling, uneven neighborhood streets, he felt like an intruder. This wasn't his world. Children played with makeshift toys in dusty alleys. Women sold fried plantain from roadside stalls, the air filled with cooking fires and loud daily chatter. He found the address, a small, neatly kept compound with a faded green door. His palms sweated. What did he hope to find? Closure, absolution. Then he saw her, Abena, playing in the dirt courtyard with other children, her laughter echoing in the humid air. Same blue dress, braids slightly looser, and behind her ear, that crescent mark. A tiny, undeniable link to him. A neighbor, an older woman with kind eyes, noticed him lingering. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked gently. Kwame cleared his throat, struggling for words. I was looking for Adwoa Sirwa." The woman's smile faded. "Adwoa? Ah, bless her soul. Passed on some years now. Such a good woman. A fighter, she was." "A fighter?" Kwame frowned. "What do you mean?" "Always speaking up for what's right," the woman said, shaking her head sadly. "Very vocal, protesting against that big company, Zanzibar Telecom, when they wanted to take land here for their towers. Said it wasn't right, displacing people like us. Zanzibar Telecom. His company. Adwoa protesting against him? The irony was a bitter pill. The land acquisitions, he'd pushed them through aggressively, silencing opposition. Had Adwoa been one of those voices, silenced indirectly or otherwise? The weight of past decisions pressed down, heavy and suffocating. He watched Abena, his daughter, playing innocently, unaware of the tangled secrets connecting them. A profound sense of loss, of missed opportunities washed over him. As he stood, paralyzed by guilt and regret, he felt eyes on him. He turned, senses on high alert. Across the street, leaning against a battered taxi, was Dele Adebayo, a smug, knowing smirk on his lips. He'd been followed. Kwame's phone buzzed. Aisha, her voice frantic, breathless. "Sir, there's a problem. Adwoa Sirwa's medical records from the hospital where she supposedly died. They're gone. Vanished." Vanished? Medical records didn't just vanish. Kwame looked back at Dele, who gave a mocking little wave before disappearing into the bustling street. Deal knew. Deal was involved. This was no longer just a past affair, it was something far more sinister. Was Adwoa's death really from a sudden illness, or was it something more? And what did Dele Adebayo have to do with her missing medical records? Kwame felt a chill run down his spine. The truth was buried deep, and digging it up could destroy everything. Kwame stormed back into his office, face a mask of fury. "Vanished?" he roared at Aisha. "How can medical records just vanish?" Aisha flinched. "I don't know, sir. The hospital clerk said they were there yesterday. Now, nothing." She wrung her hands, her composure shattered. It's like someone deliberately removed them. Dealey. It had to be. That smug look, that knowing smirk. He was playing a dangerous game, with Kwame as his unwilling pawn. The next day, Dele sauntered into Kwame's office unannounced, a predatory gleam in his eyes. "Kwame, my friend," he began, his voice smooth as palm oil. "We need to talk." "I have nothing to say to you, Dele." Kwame's voice was ice. Deal chuckled, settling into an expensive leather chair. "Oh, I think you do. About a certain Adwoa Sirwa and her charming little daughter." He paused, words hanging in the air. "A girl who bears a rather familiar birthmark." Kwame's blood ran cold. Deal knew. "How much?" "It seems," Dale continued, examining his manicured nails, "Adwoa was quite the activist, causing trouble for Zanzibar Telecom's land deals. Unfortunate her sudden illness, wasn't it?" "Get to the point, Dele." "The point, Kwame, is that secrets are expensive, especially secrets that could tarnish a CEO's reputation, perhaps even lead to uncomfortable questions." Dele leaned forward. "I think a partnership is in order. A significant share of Zanzibar Telecom's profits for my discretion." Rage surged through Kwame. "Blackmail? Never," he spat. "I'll never give you a Pasewa." Dele shrugged, a wolfish grin spreading. "Suit yourself, Kwame. But don't say I didn't warn you. Secrets have a way of leaking." He stood, dusting off his designer suit. "Tick-tock, Kwame. Tick-tock." After Dele left, Kwame slammed his fist on the desk. Trapped. Deal held all the cards. Or did he? He couldn't shake Abena's image, her innocent face, bright eyes. His daughter. He had to protect her, even if it meant confronting his past demons. He started visiting Abena, discreetly at first, parking down the street, watching her play. Neighbors told him she was cared for by Adwoa's sister, Mercy, a kind but struggling woman. One afternoon, he approached Mercy, an old friend of Adwoa's, he said. He offered financial help for Abena's sake. Mercy, initially wary, eventually accepted, gratitude mixed with suspicion. Kwame started spending time with Abena, ice cream, small gifts. He told himself it was to ease his guilt, make up for past neglect. But a part of him previously unknown was drawn to this little girl, his flesh and blood. He bought her a beautiful, expensive doll with hair as dark as Abena's and sparkling eyes. Abena's face lit up with a joy so pure it pierced Kwame's hardened exterior. Aisha watched Kwame's transformation with growing unease. He was becoming obsessed, reckless, not the calculating CEO she knew. This was a man teetering on the edge. The expensive gifts, hushed calls, the softened eyes when he spoke of Abena. She tried to warn him. "Sir, this is dangerous. Deal is not to be trusted." "I know what I'm doing, Aisha," Kwame snapped, voice sharper, though his eyes betrayed uncertainty. Meanwhile, Dila, true to his word, tightened the screws, hiring thugs to follow Fatima Diallo, an activist blogger writing scathing articles about Zanzibar Telecom's land deals and community impact. Fatima had been a thorn in Kwame's side for months, her relentless investigations unearthing uncomfortable truths. Fatima, though intimidated, refused to back down, sensing a bigger, darker secret beneath Zanzibar Telecom's polished facade. One evening, playing with Abena in Mercy's small courtyard, Abena looked up, eyes wide and serious. clutching the expensive doll. My mama used to fight the bad men, Abena said, her small voice filled with unwavering conviction. The men who wanted to take our homes. Kwame's heart clenched. Bad men. Was he one? She said they were like greedy giants, Abena continued, brow furrowed. She said we had to be brave like David and fight them with our voices. She looked at Kwame, her gaze direct, unsettlingly perceptive. Were you one of the greedy giants, Mr. Kwame? The innocent, direct question landed like a physical blow. He looked into his daughter's eyes, so like Adwoa's, and saw not accusation but a child's simple, heartbreaking plea for honesty. Was Kwame about to be confronted by the full weight of his past actions through the innocent eyes of his own daughter? And with Della circling like a vulture and Fatima digging deeper, how long could Kwame keep his secrets buried before they exploded into a scandal that would destroy him completely? The walls were closing in. Were you one of the greedy giants, Mr. Kwame? Abena's innocent question echoed in Kwame's mind, a relentless accusation. He looked at his daughter, eyes wide with childish curiosity, and felt a shame so profound it threatened to suffocate him. He couldn't answer, couldn't lie to that pure, trusting face. But the truth? A monster he couldn't unleash. He mumbled something incoherent, a lame excuse, and fled Mercy's courtyard, Abena's questioning gaze burning his back. The encounter shook him. He had built his empire on ruthlessness, crushing anyone in his way. But in Abena's eyes he saw not a rival or obstacle, but a reflection of his own lost innocence, a reminder of the man he might have been. He returned to his office, mind in turmoil, finding Aisha waiting, her face etched with worry. "Sir?" she began hesitantly. "Fatima Diallo. She's asking more questions. About Adwoa. The land deals. She's getting close." Kwame's temper flared. "Close to what, Aisha? Baseless rumors? Deal's pathetic extortion attempts?" He slammed his hand on the desk. "I won't be intimidated by some rabble-rousing blogger." But his bravado rang hollow, even to him. Fatima was tenacious, relentless. And Della, a venomous snake, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He confronted Aisha, voice laced with suspicion. "Are you talking to her, Aisha? Leaking information?" Aisha recoiled as if struck. "Sir, how can you suggest such a thing? I have always been loyal." Her voice trembled with hurt and indignation. Kwame stared, searching for deception, seeing only genuine distress. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Forgive me, Aisha. I'm on edge." But the seed of doubt was planted. Could he trust anyone? Even his most loyal confidant? Fatima Diallo, meanwhile, was getting closer. Anonymous tips, hushed whispers from frightened villagers, inconsistencies in official reports, it all pointed to a cover-up, a dark secret at the heart of Zanzibar Telecom. Deal's thugs' intimidation tactics only strengthened her resolve. She knew she was onto something big, something that could expose the rot in Kwame Nkrumah's empire. Aisha watched Kwame's descent into paranoia and desperation with growing dread. The man she once admired, brilliant strategist, visionary leader, was being consumed by his secrets, his guilt. She saw the fear in his eyes, his flinching at unexpected sounds, the sleepless nights etched on his face. She thought of Adwoa, a woman unmet whose story was increasingly intertwined with hers, of Abena, an innocent child in the crossfire of powerful men's ambitions. Her conscience, long suppressed by loyalty and gratitude, stirred. She couldn't watch Kwame destroy himself and drag everyone down. One evening after Kwame left the office, face a mask of grim determination, Aisha made a decision. Hands trembling, she accessed Kwame's private files she knew held incriminating evidence about land deals, pressure tactics against dissenters, the suspicious circumstances of Adwoa's illness. She copied the files onto a secure drive, heart pounding. This was betrayal, clear insubordination. But it was also, she believed, the right thing to do. She sent the drive anonymously to Fatima Diallo. Her accompanying note was simple: "The truth must come out." Kwame, oblivious, focused on damage control. Deal was a threat, but driven by greed. Perhaps he could be appeased, his silence bought, at least temporarily. He arranged a meeting with Mercy, Abena's aunt, offering a substantial sum, enough to secure Abena's future, send her to the best schools, give her comfort and privilege. For Adwoa's sake, he said with a sincerity that surprised even himself. Mercy hesitated, eyes searching his face. A proud woman, not easily swayed by money but practical, she knew this was an opportunity Abena might never get again. I need to think about it, she whispered. Kwame left, feeling a sliver of hope. If he could secure Abena's future, make amends somehow. But his fragile hope shattered with a call from security. Sir, there's a problem. The press, swarming the building, asking questions about a long-lost daughter? Dila. It had to be. He'd leaked the story. The ultimate betrayal. Kwame's carefully constructed world was crumbling. The secrets guarded so fiercely were about to be exposed, his reputation shredded, his empire threatened. Staring at flashing cameras and clamoring reporters, he felt a chilling premonition. This was just the beginning. And then his private line rang, an unfamiliar number. He answered, voice hoarse. Mr. Nkrumah? A cool female voice said. My name is Fatima Diallo. I think it's time we had a chat. I have some information you might find interesting. Information provided by a mutual acquaintance, Dele Adebayo. Fatima and Dele. Working together? Kwame's blood ran cold. This was a nightmare, a perfect storm of betrayal and reckoning. Was this the end of Kwame Nkrumah? Or did he have one last card to play in this high-stakes game of secrets and lies? The city held its breath. The news hit Accra like a shockwave. Fatima Diallo's exposé, splashed across front pages and leading news broadcasts, was devastating. It detailed Zanzibar Telecom's corrupt land deals, villager intimidation, the suspicious circumstances of Adwoa Surwa's death, and, most damningly, Kwame Nkrumah's secret daughter, Abena. The public outcry was immediate, furious. Zanzibar Telecom's stock plummeted. Protesters gathered outside company headquarters, demanding justice, angry chants echoing through the city. Kwame Nkrumah, once Africa's golden boy of business, was now a pariah. He holed up in his penthouse, city lights that once symbolized triumph now mocking his downfall, refusing calls, ignoring the relentless banging on his door. A king besieged in his castle. Then Aisha Buhari came forward. Her televised confession, quiet, dignified, but utterly damning, spoke of loyalty to Kwame, admiration for his brilliance, but also her growing unease, her crisis of conscience. She admitted leaking documents to Fatima, not from malice, but because the truth needed telling. Her testimony painted a picture of a man consumed by secrets who had lost his moral compass. Kwame watched Aisha's confession with a strange mix of anger and relief. The burden of his secrets, it seemed, was lifted, albeit in the most public, humiliating way. Authorities, spurred by public outrage and Fatima's meticulous evidence, launched a full-scale investigation. Kwame's assets were frozen, his passport confiscated. The empire built with such ruthless determination crumbled before his eyes. Dele Adebayo, initially reveling in Kwame's downfall, soon found himself in the crossfire. Fatima's exposé, while focused on Kwame, also hinted at Dele's own shadowy dealings, his attempts to manipulate the situation. The public, hungry for justice, turned their ire on him. His political connections, once his shield, now seemed fragile. Deal, fearing arrest, vanished, reportedly fleeing the country with whatever ill-gotten gains he could carry. Amidst the chaos, Abena was shielded from the media frenzy by Mercy. The state offered protective care, but Mercy, with a quiet strength reminiscent of Adwoa, refused. She is family, Mercy declared. She stays with us. Kwame, stripped of power, wealth, reputation, finally confronted his life's wreckage. He had lost everything. Or had he? He thought of Abena, her innocent eyes, her unwavering belief in fighting greedy giants, of Adwoa, her fiery spirit, her commitment to justice. He had betrayed them both, his own potential, his humanity. Legal proceedings were swift. Evidence against Kwame was overwhelming. He was found guilty of corruption, abuse of power, obstruction of justice. Charges related to Adwoa's death remained unproven, a lingering doubt, but other convictions sealed his fate, a lengthy prison term. Years passed. Kwame emerged from prison a changed man. Arrogance and ruthlessness gone, replaced by quiet humility, profound regret. Penniless, his empire dismantled, his name synonymous with corporate greed. He lived simply, far from Accra's glittering lights, working a menial job, his past a constant heavy burden. He never sought out Abena, knowing he'd forfeited that right. But sometimes from a distance he saw her. A young woman now, bright, confident, her mother's spirit in her eyes. Studying law determined, she said in a newspaper interview Fatima Diallo arranged, to fight for the voiceless, to ensure no one else suffered her mother's injustices. Aisha Buhari, after her testimony, left Accra seeking a quieter life, dedicating herself to community activism, working with grassroots organizations to empower marginalized communities, her quiet determination making a tangible difference. Fatima Diallo became a celebrated journalist, her fearless reporting earning international acclaim, her voice a powerful force for change in Africa as she continued to expose corruption and fight for justice. Kwame would watch Abena from afar, a silent, unseen observer, seeing in her the legacy he could have built, of integrity and compassion he had squandered. He saw Adwoa's smile, her fire, her unwavering belief in a better world. And in those fleeting moments, watching his daughter stride confidently towards her future, Kwame Nkrumah, the fallen tycoon, felt a flicker akin to peace. His downfall was absolute, his punishment just. But in Abena, her strength, resilience, commitment to justice, he saw a glimmer of redemption, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. A high price had been paid by all, but perhaps, just perhaps, some good emerged from the ashes of his ruined life. The greedy giant was slain, not by a single David, but by the collective courage of those who dared speak truth to power.